All right, Jesse on fire. Welcome back to my channel. I just got done watching Gilbert Burns mop the floor with Tyron Woodley, and we're going to talk about that. But first, if this is your first time here, like maybe you heard about me on, I don't know, Mix Molly Whoppery's channel, because Mix Molly makes the best content ever. So if you did hear about me from there, that means that you are an educated and smart viewer, because people who watch Mix Molly's content, especially all the way to the end where you would have seen my stuff, those are the kind of people that we want watching the channel, because you'll know when I'm spitting fire that's 100% correct. And other times you'll know, he looks confident. Actually, no, I'll just always be right. I'll just always be right, except for when I say Tyron Woodley's going to beat, Gilbert Burns, or when I bet on Valentina Shevchenko's sister. So like aside from those two things, super recent things, generally I'm right all the time when it comes to MMA. I didn't even announce that on my channel though. You see what kind of person you're dealing with? I never even said that I bet those two fighters, and I just admitted it on my channel because that's how big of a savage I am. I don't care. I'm right so much that when I'm wrong, I'll just throw it out there because it's so weird. But yeah, I was wrong about that. And let's talk about it because goddamn, Gilbert Burns is who's going to beat him? Who's going to beat Gilbert Burns? You tell me, who's going to beat him at 170 and how do they win? I would love to have this conversation, okay? So I was watching that fight. It literally ended 5 seconds ago. I'm not going to talk about it. This is ages ago. I just got done watching it. And here's what I was thinking the entire time I'm watching it. I'm like, what am I watching right now? Am I watching the end of Tyron Woodley's career, like an aging Tyron Woodley? Am I watching a surge from an absolutely unique, incredible fighter who's just now peaking? Or are both of those things true, and I'm also simultaneously watching evolution of the sport? Okay, that is what I think is happening. I think we're looking at a 38-year-old Tyron Woodley. I think that we're looking at an unbelievable contender who I don't know who's going to beat him. I literally have no idea. We can go into that in a second. He's a world champion in jiu-jitsu. Okay, you remember the days when people who were that good in jiu-jitsu were mediocre at best strikers? The one exception to the rule was Verdum for the last eighth of his career, right? He was just a stone world champion jiu-jitsu fighter that was always trying to get the fight to the ground. If it was on the feet, it was like, he's like, let me just, nothing was more infuriating than ground fighters that just didn't know how to strike. And so they were just huddle around. They're like, all I'm doing is trying to take this to the ground. And you're like, God, I hate this guy. Who liked fighters like that? Who likes fighters like that? Unless they're the best ground fighters fucking ever, where watching them is like wizardry. Like the dude who is, put a twister on the guy for that entire fight, Mitchell or whatever. That guy is fun to watch. He's literally the only ground fighter that I can think of. And who knows, he might even be vicious at striking, but he's so good on the ground, he's trying to take it there. But how Verdum used to be and how old, Damian Maia before he, his striking's okay. The new wave after Verdum learned to strike and everyone was like, oh, look, he's the heavyweight champion now. And then all of a sudden, all these world champion jiu-jitsu guys are killing machines on their feet. And when I say all of them, I mean Oliveira, Gilbert Burns. Man, Gilbert Burns is a monster, dude. I was watching that fight. Not to put myself in the center of this, but if I was just going to take a fight in 8 weeks, I'd fight at 170, okay? And I was watching that, and I'm serious. Most of the time when I watch UFC, what I see on the screen are guys who, if I was training nonstop, in terms of just, I don't look there and go, those are not people I could beat if I had been training for the last 3 years. I would have no chance against them. I was watching that fight, I'm like, I'm not going anywhere fucking near those guys. In that first round, when Tyron Woodley and Gilbert Burns were smashing, I was like, Jesus Christ, trained me for 5 years. I'm not going fucking anywhere near those guys. And ask anybody who knows me if they've ever heard me say that before. I have a pretty inflated version of myself in my mind. He had the fight won fucking 50-22. And he's still trying to take Woodley's head off with 15 seconds left in the fucking fifth round. The guy, not only is he amazing on his feet, not only does he kick like a fucking mule, punches like a fucking demon, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He also is trying to kill you with 15 seconds left in the fifth round when he has won by any measure where there's literally no chance that anyone scored it for the other guy. He is dangerous, man. Okay, so let's think about this. So let's just talk about so evolution is my hypothesis for what we're looking at. But let's look at the 170-pound division because, Jesus, the most stacked division in history. It's got to be. Has to be, right? You got Usman, Colby, Edwards, Masvidal, Burns, or Woodley. I'm forgetting someone. But, Jesus, right? So it's ridiculous. Now tell me which one of those guys is going to beat Burns, and how are they going to win? Usman? How does Usman win? Takes people down, right? Not going to take Burns down. Okay, so now what are you going to do? Oh, you're going to fight on your feet? Oh, because you fought Colby on your feet. That means you're going to fight Gilbert Burns. Okay, it's basically the same thing, except imagine if Colby was a little bit faster and every shot he threw was going to hurt 5 times more if it landed. Fighting Gilbert Burns on your feet is exactly that. It's like fighting Colby, except he won't throw quite as many strikes, but when he does throw strikes, they're going to be literally 5 times harder, and they're going to hurt 5 times as much, and they're much faster. So yeah, it'll be just like fighting Colby on your feet, except not at all. And Colby is Usman, so it'll be the exact same thing. You're not going to wrestle him, so now you're stuck on your feet. Now, Colby might be able to just volume punch him to death to where, he stops being so explosive. I don't know. I mean, Colby might be my bet to beat him. Masvidal could probably give him a run. I like Masvidal in that fight because in the stand-up department, he's probably the best out of all those guys. But Jesus, man, Usman, that's a nightmare fight for Usman. It really is. And Colby, we'll find out. I mean, if Colby's volume punching, if he gets counted 5 times, just like goes in and starts doing the volume and Gilbert breaks his face, counters him hard. You have no idea whether or not that's going to work. But Colby would have a chance with that volume shit to just throw him off of his rhythm. Masvidal, I like Masvidal, but god damn, Masvidal would have to starch that motherfucker. Gilbert Burns is a monster, dude. A fucking monster. Woodley, I have no idea what he does from here. No idea. You just lost decisively to Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman in completely different ways. So, I don't know, man. You look at his reign, I would say 170 was... I hate doing this, man. Like, when guy gets a little bit older and then he starts losing, you're like, geez, who did he really beat? But... who did he really beat? He beat Lawler. He beat Lawler kind of late in his career. He beat Wonder Boy after drawing Wonder Boy, who's, turned out not to be quite as good as everybody thought. I don't know. I mean, the bottom line is this. Gilbert Burns is a fucking monster. I have no idea who can beat that guy. And those are my thoughts for the night. And welterweight is completely fucking stacked. I have no idea who's going to fight who. Who do you give the title shot to? I mean, the smart money is this. Colby and Burns, Masvidal, and Usman, right? But seems to be more complicated than that. So that's what I got for the night. If you like the content, ring the bell after you subscribe, because it's always going to be this good. I'm not even on my game right now. My brain hurts. I did like a tactical shooting class today. And by the way, someone shot themselves in the leg at this tactical shooting class that I was doing today. That is not a made up story. That actually happened. So yeah, I apologize for not being my normal sharp self, but ring the bell after you subscribe, because you're not going to get any better MMA analysis anywhere. I'm the fucking GOAT on the mic, son. I don't just talk MMA. Why don't you go look at the rest of my videos? Go look up Double Knockout. Watch that story, and then look at my other storytime videos and see how you feel about those. Anyway, thanks for coming. Talk soon.